So today we are having Shweta with us, and Shweta, earlier she was part of SB201 in the last block. Now she is in the revision batch. So a few experiences she will share with you, and definitely they are going to be extremely valuable for you. So Shweta, welcome to this session. And
Thank you, sir.
first of all, can you tell that what topics of JA111 and SB101 they should take care for SB201?
Yes, sir. I think from J111, OOPS concepts like encapsulations, polymorphism, abstraction, inheritance, and interfaces, exception handling, then collection framework. From SP101, association mapping is very important in this block. And
Okay.
one more topic is this one. Yeah, hibernate ORM approach. I think in the first sprint, it's a very important ORM approach.
Okay, okay. Let's say that many of time it happened that let's say that you stuck in some topic, maybe any challenge. It may be
Yes.
assignment, it may be your any topic that you are not able to understand, maybe for the first attempt. So, what is your approach to handle such kind of situation?
First, I used to read the notes. Then also, if I didn't get the concepts well, I reach out to IA. Pair programming is there, and
Okay.
attending the IA stand-ups. I think these are the helpful while if you are stuck at any time.
Okay. That's good. Reading notes, how important it is before coming to class?
Yes, sir, it's very important. I think in this particular blog, there are Hukum interviews are going on. Because of that, it's very important. Even not just because of the interviews. If you read the notes before the classes, if you'll get all the concepts well.
Mm.
And
Okay,
also, please watch the pre-class videos.
okay,
I think
okay.
you guys are
Mhm.
much comfortable while listening to the classes.
Okay. And assignments?
Yes, sir.
There-
I think assignments are the key to clear the evaluations.
yes,
If you do the assignments well, definitely you're going to clear the evaluations.
that's nice. And last time actually model papers were also provided to your
Yes,
batch.
sir. I
So
think
assignments plus
similar
model papers.
model papers are similar to the evaluations. Please solve them.
Yeah. Any tip suggestion specific from your side?
Yes, sir. I suggest to read the notes from J111 to SP201 because Hukumu interviews are going on and you need to follow the DebEx format in the interviews. Then don't miss the any evaluations. While giving evaluations, um, don't uh, just implement the whatever functionalities has been asked. Firstly, don't take the output like please implement all the functionalities. After implementing every functionality, then go to the input output.
That's nice. Okay. Let's say that one scholar you have already completed SB201. So what will be the final outcome of this course? Means what you are feeling you are able to create. Like after SB101, they are able to create a desktop application with connection to database. After SB201, what they will be able to do? Can you describe?
Yes, a Spring Boot application with a front end and back end, a full application with the Spring security, authentication and authorization. It's like a complete application.
A complete application they will be able to do. And
Yes, sir.
specifically, they will be handful on the web services. How
Yes,
to
sir.
create the web services, which is the key concept of this batch. Okay, that's nice. So, well, thank you very much for your valuable insighting for this batch. And
Thank you, sir,
everyone,
for inviting
if
me.
anybody else wanted to ask anything, they can. Seems the batch is intelligent. They got everything. Difficulty level. Difficulty level in the terms of evaluation or something else? Everything.
If you
So
do assignments well, if you read the notes, then it will be going to very easy.
overall assignment is the key in all the cases.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 2 pointers, simple. We can say that first of all is solving the assignment. Second is reading the notes properly because Hukuma interview is there. Even if you are able to solve, but if you are not able to explain, then it is going to hamper you. And many of the async scholars already know this has been a nightmare for them. So please be in the habit of reading the notes properly. Okay, Shweta, thank you very much for your valuable time.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Now I'm taking over.
Sir, can I leave?
Yeah, sure. So let me talk about the content that actually we have covered yesterday. So yesterday in the block number 28, it was day number 1. So let me share my screen to you first. Everyone, please do let me know if the audio video signals are okay. Please update if audio video signals are okay. That's good. That's good. So yesterday, initially we had a detailed understanding of our curriculum that we are going to cover. And apart from having the detailed understanding of our curriculum, then we were talking about the concept of web application. And in the concept of web application, initially we had discussion about the internet, that is network of network. Then we were talking about the WWW World Wide Web, that is a service running on the internet and definitely the most popular one. Then we were talking about URL. Whenever we wanted to access any resource that is available on the internet, then definitely we have to take help of URL. Format of the URL we come across. First, we have to write down the protocol. After the protocol, then definitely : // then subdomain. After the subdomain, we have to mention the domain name. And after mentioning the domain name, then top level domain is again something that we have to use. And after mentioning this, all that top level domain, finally, we had discussion about the path of the file. And in the path of the file, so top level domain says the nature of the organization, and com is for commercial, .org is for organization. Domain name is actually used to identify a site uniquely, and subdomain is actually, you can say that a domain can have multiple subdomain. Normally they are for different type of services. Then protocol is rule to govern the communication. Mainly our focus will be on the HTTP protocol in this case mainly. Then everyone, we had discussion about what is the meaning of a static pages and what is the meaning of a dynamic pages. After having a discussion about the static page and the dynamic page, then we will talk about, then we had discussion about the next thing that is actually called servlet architecture and EJB container, difference between the application server and web server. 2 links were also provided to you for the better clarity. Now, we are going to have a discussion about the next part. The next part is all about tight coupling and the loose coupling. So first, as you can see in this example, there is one class available, class A. In the class A, there is a method available. Name of the method is void fun method. Simple class it is. If I'm talking about the class B, in the class B, there is an object of class A is available, or simply we can say that class B wanted to use class A. Because class B need object of class A, so we will say that class B depends on class A. Because to perform the functionality, or let's say that class B is required to perform some function. To complete this function, it need to use functionality of class A. Because it needs functionality of class A, so definitely to access the functionality defined in the class A, object of class A is needed for class B. Because object of class A is needed for the class B, so that's why we will say that class B is depending on the class A. So class B is the dependent class of class A. How exactly to access the functionality? One of the way is to create the object. And whenever we are talking about creating the object, then definitely by creating the object, one can very easily, one can actually very easily access the functionality. If I'm talking about the second way, then what exactly the possible second way is that is also not very much suitable. For example, let's say class A is available. Into the class A, the method is available. The name of the method is called void fun method. Then there is class B available, such that let's say that the class B actually extends class A. So this time, can we call the fun method directly? Please tell. This time, can we call fun method of class A directly in the class B, such that class B is subclass of class A? So simple logic, everybody. The simple logic is that whenever we are talking about, whenever we are talking about simple concept of using the functionality of one class into the another class, then to use the functionality of one class into the another class, there is one way available. One of the way is called with the help of has a relationship, and the next thing is also available. The next thing can be done with the help of is a relationship. So two ways are available. Two ways are available. So first way that we were talking to you is all about, so we are writing that to access the functionality of one class and another class, we have to use any of the listed way. And if I'm talking about any of the listed way, then there is going to be has a relationship, there is going to be is a relationship. Both are actually correct approach, but both are actually not very much suitable approach in all the conditions. Why exactly? Because if I'm talking about has a relationship, so definitely has a relationship is something that is more flexible. Why more flexible? Because there is no need to perform the inheritance. But on the other hand, if I'm talking about the is a relationship, then definitely whenever we are talking about is a relationship, then we have to take care that subclass must be of the same type as of the superclass. Yes or no? Subclass must be kind of same type of the superclass. Like for example, there is class available animal. From the class animal, if you are talking about the cat class, if you are talking about tiger class, it makes sense. It makes sense. But for example, let's say that there is a class available. The name of the class is ship. Ship that is actually sailing in the water. From the ship class, if you try to create the car class by inheriting, is it making any sense? Can you create a class car that inherits class ship? Technically you can, but logically it is completely nonsense. Logically it is completely nonsense, or we can say that it is actually not proper use of the concept of inheritance, because a car cannot sail in the water. A car cannot sail in the water. A ship cannot actually, you can say that steer on the road. So on this principle, everyone, is a relationship is definitely a way, but use it very wisely when you are sure that yes, subclass is actually same as the type of super type, then it makes sense. Otherwise, no. So among the both approaches, if we are talking about the recommended, or you can say that we are talking about the better suitable in most of the cases, then the better suitable is going to be has a relationship. Is that discussion clear? That's nice. That's nice. So everyone, then we actually come across one problem. The problem is that right now actually object of class A is created directly here. When the object of class A is created directly here, then in this condition, in future, let's say that we are creating a parameterized constructor in the class A. In future, let's say I am adding a parameterized constructor in the class A. If I'm adding a parameterized constructor in the class A, then definitely the constructor or the default constructor that is provided by compiler itself, that constructor will be out. Answer is yes. And in this condition, to create the object here, what I have to do? The one thing that I have to do here is going to be, I have to provide the parameter. If I have to provide the parameter, then definitely I have to open the code. And if I have to open the code, then in this condition, definitely I have to make changes in the code. Then don't you think that in a dynamic environment, when thousands of classes are available, requirements are keep changing, so definitely we have to make changes in the code structure also. And in such condition, for every minor change, making the changes in the code is something that is not very much suitable. Yes or no? Does that make sense? Yes, it is. Perfect. So right now, actually, we are saying that this is an example of tightly coupled code. Why we are calling it tightly coupled? Because if I'm making changes in the class A, then definitely there is a huge impact on the class B. Why? Because the code of class B is also required to be changed. And in the real life application, your application is required to be loosely coupled. Your application is not required to be a tightly coupled application. Is that point clear? Because the tightly coupled application is something very difficult to manage, and you have to, you can say that, apply a lot of unnecessary efforts to manage the same. Then talking about the next part, talking about the next part. The next part is that everyone, you can see that class car is available. Into the class car, then next example is available. The next example is that there is a class car available. In the class car, there is one method available, void ignite method. In the ignite method, we are writing you can start car by pressing clutch and rolling the key. The next point, class bike is available. Void start is available there. System.out.println. You can start bike by hitting a kick, or actually you can say that self start. So class traveler is there. In the class traveler, we are talking about object of class car. Again, you will say, sir, this is an example of tightly coupled system, because if I'm talking about the vehicle, then we are having two vehicles. One of the vehicle is going to be car, and second vehicle is going to be bike. If we are talking about the car, then definitely we can say that, sir, car is something that is for 4 passengers plus one driver. And if I'm talking about the bike, then definitely it is for one passenger plus one rider. So you can see that actually one thing here, class traveler is available, car C equal to new car, void write C dot ignite is there, class demo is there, then public static void main string args square bracket, traveler T1 equal to new traveler T1 dot write. Again, this is a tightly coupled code, because in future, if user wanted to use bike for riding, then we have to again manually open the code, make the necessary changes. So how to design a loosely coupled application? If we are talking about designing a loosely coupled application, then definitely to design a loosely coupled application, there is interface mechanism we have to use. So one interface I have created, the name of the interface is actually called vehicle. In the vehicle interface, there is one public method available. The name of the method is called start ride method. In the start ride method, you can say that class car implements vehicle, void ignite is there, system.out.println. You can start car by pressing clutch and rolling the key. You can start car by pressing clutch and rolling the key. At the rate override, void start ride. Thereafter, ignite method is there. Class bike that also implements vehicle. Start method is available as it is. It is also actually overriding the start ride method and calling the start method from here. Class traveler is there. In the class traveler, instead of manually creating object of a specific implementation, we are providing reference variable of the interface. We are providing reference variable of the interface. And when we are providing the reference variable of the interface, everyone, in such condition, you can see one more thing, that actually public traveler is there, vehicle is there, this dot vehicle equal to vehicle. Means when actually we are creating object of traveler class, then we are having an option to directly pass the suitable dependency according to our choice. So this time, if a user says that, yes, I wanted to use car, no problem. No need to make any changes into the any other class except for the main method. If somebody says that I wanted to use bike, no problem. You can actually provide the system for bike also. Is that point clear? Yes or no? What is the mean of tightly coupled system, and what is the mean of loosely coupled system, and how to make a system loosely coupled via the interfaces? Is that point okay? Yes, it is. And now listen, one more advantage. For example, in future, let's say that I wanted to include motorboat as a vehicle. If I wanted to include motorboat as a vehicle, then again, simply what I will do, I will create a class motor vehicle that implements vehicle. Then I will actually provide the definition of the start ride, and just actually into the public static void main, I can create it very, very easily. Make sense? Yes or no? If I wanted to add the airplane, then definitely I can include the airplane also. If we wanted to include bullet train, then definitely we can include bullet train also. No problem. So don't you think that if we are going to scale our system in future, then actually we can scale it very, very easily. We have to touch the code at the minimum level. Is that clear? We actually need to touch the code at minimum level. This is what exactly thing we have to take care. So now, shall we start our Spring Core module, where actually things will be easier for you? Yes. Now listen, what is the advantage that I'm going to offer you? The main advantage that I'm going to offer you is that everyone right now into the public static void main. Adding the dependencies is what we are doing manually. Adding the dependency is what exactly we are doing manually. In future, let's say that if you wanted to make this process automated, then you can make this process automated. And to make this process automated, we have to use the concept of Spring. We have to use the concept of Spring. So let me actually start the discussion about the Spring. And these are the notes that are actually already shared to you. Those who have come in the class after reading the notes, for them, the session is going to be extremely joyful. Those who have not, please pay close attention and be in the habit of reading the notes, because you can see that there is not a small content. Actually, we are having a huge content to cover in the sprint one. So if you people are not ready with reading the notes, then definitely it is slightly difficult for you. So let me make it full screen. After making it full screen, you can see that we are talking about today's topic, that is called XML based configuration. And we will talk about the concept of bean life cycle and the bean scope also. The very first thing, in this example, you can see that all the dependencies are actually added by us. When we are adding the dependencies manually, then definitely every time we have to make the changes in the code for adding the new dependency. But if we wanted to make this process automatic, if we want a software component to inject the dependencies as per the demand, this can be done. And this is what actually Spring is doing for you. This is what exactly Spring is doing for you. So let me write down some final text that will actually help you to understand what exactly the pointer is. So I'm writing that yesterday, in the last example, we have actually provided the dependency by ourselves in the main class. If and it is actually possible to add, it is possible to, you can say that automate this task, that is of providing the dependency. Providing dependency. It is possible to automate this task of providing the dependency using Spring. And Spring container is a actually component, software component that is responsible for, that is responsible for creating the, that is responsible for doing this job. So you can say that the process of, or you can say that the process of injecting dependency is actually called dependency injection. It's called dependency injection, and definitely because you can say that the responsibility of injecting the dependency is provided to the Spring, to the Spring container. So this is actually called inversion of control. Please read these lines very, very carefully. I am giving you some 25-30 seconds. Read this line very, very carefully. Have you done with this? Okay, that's good. That's good. See, so almost same thing is already written here. You can see that in general, when a class depends on another class, then dependent class create the object of dependency class directly, and then it calls its method. It is called dependency object created in the main control. But if some external entity is taking care of creating the dependency object, then we say that that control is inverted to some external entity, and this is called inversion of control. So isn't it very much like we are outsourcing the human task to the machine? Isn't it very much like that we are actually outsourcing the task to the machine? Yes, it is. The IOC is a design pattern that is purely conceptual. The IOC is a design pattern that is purely conceptual, in which external entity provide the dependencies to the application component instead of hard coding them in the component class. Dependency injection. Here, external entity will push the dependency object to the dependent class, configuring the object inside some container, and the container will push the dependency object to the dependent class. Note, in the Spring framework, the Spring container is the external entity that will push the dependency object in the dependent class. So lump sum, the whole summarization I have already written for you. Now, see, so far, if I'm talking about the previous example, then in the previous example, who was creating the object of the dependency class? We are creating the object of the dependency class. So object creation was our task. All the management related to the object, that was our task. And definitely final destruction is done by the JVM. That is what happening in the last cases. Now what will happen? You will actually understand that object creation of the dependency class, it will be done by the Spring container. Apart from that, managing the entire life cycle of that object, it will be done by the Spring container. And if I'm talking about the destruction of the object, the destruction of the object will also be done by the Spring container. So simple logic, you can say that right now, in the further examples, from object creation to object destruction, everything will be managed by the Spring container. Is that point clear? From bean creation to bean destruction, everything will be managed by the Spring container. We don't have to worry about the same. So whenever a Java object is managed by the Spring container, then that object is referred as the Spring bean. Repeating again, whenever a Java object is managed by the Spring container, then that Java object is referred as the Spring bean. Definition of Spring bean is clear. So simple logic, a Spring bean is nothing but an object that is managed by the Spring container. That is what simply you can say. That is what simply you can say. Then everyone talking about the further parts. And talking about the further parts, so see, same definition is almost available here. Any Java class which is registered with the Spring Bean container software is actually referred as the Spring Bean. The Spring Bean is basically a Pojo class. The Spring Bean is basically a Pojo class. Pojo, everybody comfortable? Plain old Java object. It is simpler class to compile. No external dependency is required. For which no external dependency is required. Now we are talking about the Spring container. An Spring application, a pure Java class that control all the Spring Bean is known as the Spring container. The Spring container is not like the J2EE container, so definitely there is no need to install any software. The Spring container is a lightweight container. It can be activated in any kind of Java application. All the core functionalities provided by the Spring framework are available through the Spring container only. A Spring container provides enterprise services with less processing overhead and reduced complexity. In addition to enterprise service, the Spring container provides the following basic services of the Spring Bean. The first, lifecycle management, and second thing is all about the dependency resolution. Second thing is dependency resolution. So these are the things that actually it is doing. Now it will be directly good to come to the official documentation. And while talking about the official documentation, I will talk to you about some classes and interfaces. Like one interface I will discuss to you. The name of the interface is called Bean Factory. Below the bin factory, there is one interface available. The name of the interface is called listable bin factory interface. Below the listable bin factory interface, there is one interface available. The name of the interface is called application context interface. Below the application context, one more interface is available. The name of the interface is called configurable application context interface. And after the configurable application context interface, then there is one more interface, or there are two classes available. Initially, one class that will be useful for us is, the name of the class is going to be class path XML application context class. The name of the class is going to be class path application context class. And apart from the class path application context class, I will discuss to you one more class. The name of the class is actually referred as the annotation config application context class. Annotation config application context class. I will discuss to you this class about tomorrow. So total 5 to 6 members I have discussed to you. The very first member is bean factory. Second member is listable bean factory. The third member is called application context. The fourth member is available configurable application context. And then two classes are available. One of the class is called class path XML application context. And next is available annotation config application context class. Do one thing. I'm giving you some 10 to 15 seconds. All the names 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. All 6 names, at least please revise for the 2 times. Have you done with reading all the names? Everyone, please be prompt in the class. What is this going on? Only 2-3 scholars are responding. Seven or 8 responses so far out of 31 scholars. Now the count reaches to 12 or 13. Be active on the chat. Okay. So everyone, now actually there is one interface available. The name of the interface is called bean factory interface. Then there is listable bean factory. Then there is application context, then configurable application context. And then there is one thing available that is called class path application context. If I'm talking about one of the interview question that is actually very commonly asked, they are asking a question that what is the difference between bean factory and the application context? This is one interview question that is actually very commonly asked in the interviews. So let me actually open the official documentation, as I am always fond of going through the official documentation whenever actually giving you class. So links are available here. So one of the link that I'm opening in front of you. Directly you can search, it is from the official documentation. For example, let's say that if you are going to Google and directly you are talking about that is the bean factory interface in Spring. Directly you can search bean factory interface in Spring. Then from the official link, yeah, it is available here. Directly you can open that link also. Nothing hidden. So there is one interface available. The name of the interface is actually called the bean factory interface. First of all, please check. Do we have any super interface of bean factory interface? Are you able to spot? Is there any parent interface of the bean factory interface? No. We are having sub interface. We are having implementing classes, but we do not have any super interface. So always keep in mind the very first line, the highlighted one. Please read. This is the root interface for accessing the Spring Bean container. This is the root interface for accessing the Spring Bean container. So if I'm talking about the Bean factory, then about the Bean factory, the first line we come across is this is the root interface for accessing a Spring Bean container. And better to provide this link to you also. Please be in the habit of going through the links, be in the habit of going through the hierarchy. Those who are async student, they know it very well how important it is, specifically when it comes to Spring security. Lot of things you have to dive into. Then everyone, this is the basic client view of the container. Further things, etc. is available. The interface is implemented by the object that hold the number of bean definition. Each definition is uniquely identified by a name. Depending on the bean definition, the factory will return either an independent instance of the content object or a single shared instance. Well, things are looking initially that is complicated for you. That's a lot of things are there. But actually just one thing, if I'm talking about the Spring container, then definitely first point simple. Just you need to answer in the terms of 1 and 0. A Spring container is used to manage Spring Bean. Yes or no? I need all the responses. I need responses from every scholar. 6, 7 responses so far. Okay. Some scholars are repeating the response to increase the count. Well, so a Spring container is actually used to manage the Spring Bean. And definitely there can be multiple objects or multiple beans are available in the Spring container. So how exactly a bean will be identified? Definitely a bean will be identified using the name of the bean. Or simple, you can call ID of the bean. We can use name also, we can use ID also. But normally you can say that so far, when you don't know the XML configuration metadata, then we will talk that it's a name of the bean. Then a lot of different things are available that we will talk. No, we are not talking. So see, overall, first point, we are talking about the bean factory interface. So bean factory interface is nothing but it is a root interface for accessing the Spring Bean container. The interface is implemented by the object that actually hold the number of bean definition. So simple, by looking at this point, can I say that Spring container is actually an implementation of the bean factory? Yes or no? Read this line very, very carefully. Second number point. The second number point say this interface is implemented by the objects that hold the number of bean definition, each uniquely identified by a string name. So can I say that bean factory is the interface that is implemented by Spring container? Or simply can I say that if a class implements the bean factory, then definitely that class is going to be a Spring container class. Make sense? Clear everyone? Yes, it is. So this is the point number 1 that actually we are having in discussion to you. Next point, next point, next point. That is actually important for you is, can you see that it is better to rely on the dependency injection to configure application properties object through setter or constructor rather than using any form of pull configuration like bean factory lookup. Well, I think this thing you need some maturity to understand all these pointers. You need some maturity, so have patience. Wait, I will tell you the things. Well, it will be good to talk about the next interface. The next interface is going to be listable bean factory interface. And if I'm talking about the listable bean factory interface, can you see this is the sub interface of bean factory interface? Yes or no? Yes, it is. Actually, listable. So nothing special. If any class is implementing the listable bean factory, then definitely this class will implicitly implementing the bean factory. Answer is yes. So any class that is implementing the listable bean factory, definitely it is a Spring container. Make sense? The only thing is that if I'm talking about the bean factory, in the bean factory, actually management of the object is not very handy. But if I'm talking about the listable bean factory, then you can see that this is the extension of the bean factory interface that is to be implemented by the bean factory that can enumerate all their beans rather than attempting bean lookup by name or one by one request. Bean factory implementations are preloaded all their bean definition. Just a minute, everyone. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. Actually, there was important call. Now see, so listable bean factory is nothing special. I'm talking about the next interface to you. The name of the next interface is going to be the listable bean factory interface. So link is already what I am providing you. Listable bean factory actually just make the management of the objects easier. So it is extension of the bean factory interface to be implemented by bean factory that can emulate all bean instances rather than implying on that. Well, this is, I think, sufficient to this area. That is sufficient. Second line that is important for us is Bean factory implementations that preload. Bean factory implementations that preload all their bean definition may implement this interface. This is related to eager and lazy initialization. That is also I'm going to discuss with you. Okay. So bean factory is available. From the bean factory, I'm talking about the application context interface. Okay. Which one is the super interface of application context? Which one is the super interface of application context? Listable bean factory. And who is the parent of listable bean factory? It is bean factory. So can I say this is turning into an example of single level inheritance? Bean factory is there, below the bean factory listable bean factory is there, below the listable bean factory application context is there. If I'm talking about the application context, then application context is nowadays the key interface. Application context is nowadays a key interface. Why exactly it is turning into a key interface? So let me tell you first of all, this is a central interface to provide configuration for all application. This is read only while the application is running, but may be reloaded if application support this. What exactly the application context is actually providing us? What exactly the application context is providing us? So see here, some pointers are listed here. The application context provide bean factory method for accessing application component inherited from listable bean factory. The ability to load file resource in a generic fashion inherited from resource loader interface. The ability to publish events to registered listeners inherited from application event listener. The ability to resolve messages support internationalization from the message resource interface. Inheritance from parent context. Definition in a descendant context will always take priority. This means, for example, this is a single parent. Well, if I'm talking about the main part that is right now useful for you, if I'm talking about the main part that is right now useful for you, what exactly it provide bean factory method for accessing application that are inherited from listable bean factory. Apart from that, it is providing, you can say, that ability to resolve the message using the message resource. This is something useful in the internationalization. Are you aware about properties file? Are you people aware about properties file? Yes, it is. Yes. So this is something relevant to this. This is something that is relevant to this. So application context interface is available here. Okay. If I'm talking about application context interface, and if I'm talking about its sub interfaces, then among the sub interfaces, there is one more interface available. The name of the interface is actually called the configurable application context. Configuration context. SPI means service provider interface, to be implemented by most of all application context. It provides facility to configure an application context in addition to application context client method in the application context. So simple, if you wanted to perform any kind of customization, then to perform any kind of customization, we have to talk about the configurable application context. So this is what actually configuration application context is available to me. Okay, so by looking at this hierarchy, can I say that if I am talking about the bean factory, then bean factory is something that you can understand it is kind of root interface in case of Spring container hierarchy? Yes or no? It is a kind of root interface in case of Spring container hierarchy. Agree everybody? Simple logic. Thereafter, everyone, if I'm talking about further classes and interfaces, then definitely I will talk about further classes and interfaces. But among the further classes and interfaces, let me actually have a discussion about a few pointers. The pointer is that everyone, first of all, bean factory. Who is the child of bean factory? You will simply answer that's a listable bean factory is the child of bean factory. Thereafter, application context is the child of listable bean factory. Then if we are talking about the configurable application context is the child of simple, you can say that application context. Then there are two classes available. One of the class, the name of the class is called class path XML application context class, and one more class is available that is called annotation config application context class. These are the few classes available. So listen, now this hierarchy, I think you people will be able to understand. Yes or no? Everyone, will you be able to remember that hierarchy? Please update. This is important. That's why I am discussing to you one by one. Okay. So bean factory is available below the bean factory. Listable bean factory is available below the listable bean factory. Then definitely application context and so on the things are available here. So let me actually make this hierarchy slightly better. And please manage with the drawing. This is the best that actually I can do in the terms of drawing, I think. Uh-oh. Sometimes keyboard start jumping. Okay. So accordingly, the methods that are available in the bean factory, can I say that these methods will be available to all the interfaces? The methods that are available in the bean factory, these methods will be available to all the interfaces. The answer is yes. Similarly, if I'm talking about the listable bean factory, all the methods will be available to the sub interfaces and then for the implementing classes. If I'm talking about some of the useful method of the bean factory, then among the useful method of the bean factory, let me directly jump to some methods. Into the method, if you wanted to check whether there exists a bean in the Spring container or not. If just you wanted to check whether a bean exists in the Spring container or not. Can you see there is one method available? The name of the method is called the contains bean method. You just have to specify the name of the bean. If it is available, then answer will be true, false otherwise. Make sense, everyone? The first method? Yes, it is. That's good. Thereafter, everyone, if I'm talking about the getBeans method, then into the getBeans method, if you are providing the name of the class, sorry, actually class name dot class, then you will get that bean. I will take the example shortly. If you wanted to get the bean by name, then definitely you can get the bean by name also. Clear, everybody? Means actually there are two ways to get the bean. The first way to get the bean is you can get the bean by name. The second way is if let's say that there is only one bean available of a class. If in the container there is only one bean available of the class, then you can use this second method. You can use this second method, no problem. Then I'm talking about some more important methods. If you wanted to specify the bean name as well as class name together, then definitely bean name and class name together also is what you can specify. But everyone, just one thing you should compare. If I'm talking about the line number 69 and line number 70, can you see that in the line number 69, the return type is exactly same as whatever be the class type of the bean is. Repeating my words again. In case of line number 69 and line number 71, you can see line number 69 and line number 71, name of the method is getBeans method. But what is the return type? Sir, the return type is exactly same as whatever be the class type of the bean is. So no typecasting is required. Yes or no? But on the other hand, everybody, if I'm talking about the line number 70, in the line number 70, if I'm using only getBean method with the bean name only, then you can see that the return type is object. So don't you think that typecasting is turning into my responsibility? Definitely yes. So that's why it's my personal recommendation. I used to go with the method that is mentioned in the line number 71 because it is always giving me exact matching. Second, I do not have to typecast actually. Is that okay? I do not have to typecast actually because lot of typecasting is also a burdensome job. Lot of typecasting is also a burdensome job. So lot of getBeans method are available. So by looking at all these methods, can I say they are the overloaded methods? Can we say they are the example of compile time polymorphism? Yes, it is. So whenever somebody is asking about compile time polymorphism, you can give that example also. It will actually also give a context that you know Spring also. It will give you a context that you know Spring also. Thereafter, everyone get bean provider is there, get type is there. If you wanted to find out class type of a bean, then definitely you can find out the class type of a bean also. You can find out class type of a bean also. So these are the few methods that actually I am discussing with you. And these methods that I'm discussing with you, they are available in all the corresponding sub interfaces and the implementing classes also. It is raining here. Window closed. Thereafter is prototype is singleton. These methods are also important, but we will come on these methods after some discussion. After some discussion. So one method is available is prototype method. One more method is available. The name of the method is called actually is singleton method. Okay, just actually one simple thing that I'm asking you. If I'm talking about the no bean definition, no bean definition is subclass of runtime exception class. And because it is subclass of runtime exception class, so what's your opinion? It is a checked exception or it is an unchecked exception? Please write on the chat. This is a checked exception or unchecked exception? This is an unchecked exception. And because this is an unchecked exception, so do you need to write down the calling of method within the try catch, or it will work without try catch? Option 1, option 2. It will work without try catch because this is unchecked exception. For the unchecked exception, you are not bound to write down the code. If you are writing, then it is okay. If you are not writing, still it is okay. Going to next part, I think these are the sufficient methods that I have done. Then into the list table actually contains bean definition, find annotations, etc. No as such specific method is available, but one method is available if you wanted to find out that how many beans are available in your container. Then bean definition count is something you can directly use. Bean definition count is something that actually you can directly use. Apart from that, if I'm talking about the useful methods, then in case of the useful method, see, if you wanted to find out the name of all the beans in one shot, then you can find out the name of all the beans in the one shot also, no problem. This method is also available. And then there is get beans name for type, get beans name for annotation. These methods are not actually extremely important for you. Listable bean is done. If I'm talking about the application context, then into the application context, one method is available that is called get application name method. It will actually display the name of application that is running right now. That is running right now. Apart from that, get display name is not something very much important. Coming to the configurable application context, into the configurable application context, lot of things are available there. But can you see there is one method available? The name of the method is called close method. Into the configurable application context, there is one method available called the close method. This method is very important when I will discuss to you about the bean lifecycle. Then you will come to know how important this is. So don't you think that it is very much like a finalized method? Please read the description. Void close method actually close the application context, release all the resources, and log that the implementation might hold. This includes destroying all cached singleton beans. Keep in mind, close method is important. We will talk about this method in the bean life cycle. Apart from that, everyone, there is, you can say that refresh register shutdown hook. This method is again important. Register shutdown hook. This method is again important. Register a shutdown hook to the JVM, closes the context of JVM shutdown unless it is already closed at that time. This method can be called multiple time. Only one shutdown hook will be registered for each time. Okay. Then everyone going back. Thereafter, register shutdown hook, set startup, set class loader, set environment, set ID, set parent. They are not very actually important. Okay. So first in the Spring container, let me give you a quick summarization. Whenever I'm talking about the Spring container, so which interface is must be implemented? Can I say Bean Factory is the interface that must be implemented? Yes or no? Just in the form of true or false, can I say that whenever we are talking about a class that is working as a Spring container, so definitely that class must implement the Bean Factory interface? Yes or no? Yes, it is. Perfect. Nowadays, actually, the Spring container is implementing the application context interface because application context is actually providing you much more services than the Bean Factory. That's why nowadays no container is directly inheriting the Bean Factory. No container is directly implementing the Bean Factory, but every container is actually implementing the application context. Why? Because definitely it is having more features. It is support the concept of internationalization, etc., that actually Bean Factory does not provide. Then everyone, configurable application context. If you wanted to do some customization in your application context, then use that. It allow you to close the application context also. It allow you to register the shutdown hook also. Now the two implementing classes are available. One of the implementing classes available that is called class path XML application context. And one more class is available that is called annotation config application context class. For the next approximately 2 days, we will frequently use these classes. We will frequently use these classes. First of all, everybody, is that hierarchy clear for all? That's good. Keep this hierarchy into the mind. But actually, this is not a completely correct diagram. Why I am using the term completely correct? Because if you are following the hierarchy, then a lot of different classes are there. But if I'm talking about our scope, according to our scope, this diagram is sufficient. Getting my point? According to our scope, this is actually part of the actual diagram, but this is sufficient for us. That is what you should keep into the mind. That is what you should keep into the mind. So now I'm talking about the class. The name of the class is going to be the class path XML application context. And if I'm talking about the class path XML application context, then actually you can see that a long hierarchy is there. Resource loader is there, abstract application context is there, refreshable is there, refreshable config is there, XML is there, then class path XML is there. Do not dive so deep. Whatever hierarchy I told you, that is sufficient from even the interview perspective. But if I'm talking about the interfaces, so if I'm talking about its interfaces, then you can see few pointers. Bean factory, is that implementing bean factory? Answer is yes. Is it implementing listable bean factory? Answer is yes. Is it implementing application context? Answer is yes. It is implementing application configurable application context. Answer is yes. So whatever interfaces that I told you, everything is available. Yes or no? Okay. So when actually I am going to take help of XML to inject the dependency. See, last time I have injected the dependency by my own by writing everything in the Java. But now what is my demand? I want a Spring container to do the same job. And how exactly I will guide the Spring container? This time I'm going to guide the Spring container using XML approach. Two approaches are there. The first approach is called XML approach and second approach is called annotation approach. Initially, actually, I am talking to you about the approach and this approach is called the XML approach. Then tomorrow we will talk about the annotation based approach. This point is clear. Spring container will inject the dependency for you, but you have to guide the Spring container which dependency to inject. How to do this job? There are two approaches available. The first is called the XML based approach that we are going to discuss today. And another approach is also available that is called the annotation based approach. So that's why in the today's class, I will discuss to you about the class path XML context only. I will not talk to you about the annotation config application context. Annotation config application context is something that I will talk to you tomorrow. So it will be good to talk about the class. The name of the class we are writing is going to be, that is the class path XML application context class. So let me actually copy this. After copy this, so what it is doing, standalone XML application context, taking the context definition file from class path, interpreting plain path as class path resource name that include the package name path. Useful for test, hardness, etc., etc. Well, actually, okay, just a minute. The first line is copied. That is important for you. The config location default can be override. Overriding is not required right now. In case of multiple config, later config can be override. Well, so did you remember this name? Anyone remember this name? Rod Johnson. Rod Johnson is father of Spring. Rod Johnson is father of Spring. Keep in mind. Okay. If I'm talking about the constructor, so can you see that first constructor is available that is actually taking path of the file. First is available that is taking path of the file. Create a new class path XML application context leading the definition from the XML file and automatically refreshes the context. So can I say that from the XML file, it will take input, it will create the Spring Bean and add them to the container? Yes or no? It will read data from the XML file, it will create the bean and add them to the container. This is what actually this constructor is going to do. This time, this constructor is talking about only one file. Can we specify more than one file also? Answer is yes. You can specify more than one file also. Nobody is going to stop you. Nobody is going to stop you. So simple logic. Can we create Multiple configuration file, answer is yes. Answer is yes, that you can create actually multiple configuration files. Nobody is going to stop you. Apart from that, multiple different constructors are available. No need to worry about them. In our scope, it will be good that we should stop only about the two constructor. And if I'm talking about the method detail, then you can see that there is actually no method available of its own, except for only one method, that is called get config resource, which is no use for you, which is of no use for you. So overall, everybody, if I'm talking about the method that is useful for you, line number 71, this method is going to be extremely useful for you. Apart from that, some of the times you will actually come across the method that is called actually get bin definition name method, and sometime you will talk about the get application context also. Register shutdown hook is important, close method is important, constructors I have already told you to study. Okay, shall I take one basic example? Right now actually all the hierarchy is done. Now shall I take one basic example? Yes, it is. Okay, so we are on STS. On the STS, first of all, you have to create a Maven project. First of all, you have to create a Maven project. Now, what exactly I am going to do? So I am actually writing a simple application. Writing a simple application to demonstrate dependency injection. Simple example. Step number one, what you have to do? First thing you have to do is actually you have to create a Maven project. The first thing you have to do is that you need to create a Maven project. So let me create a Maven project. So directly pressing Control N, and after pressing Control N, I am talking about a Maven project. Clicking on the next, and it will be good to give some friendly name. So first of all, everyone, I'm going to create Maven archetype quick start. The Maven archetype quick start is for a core Java project. Yes or no? Simple. Thereafter, I have to provide the detail. Group ID is going to be com.masai school. Why com.masai school? I hope this is clear for all. Yes or no? Why com.masai school? I hope this is clear for all. Whatever be the website of the organization is, you have to invert that website name. If it is www.masaischool.com, then you have to invert that. After invert, just take the top level domain and the domain name, you are done. Okay, artifact ID, I am writing block number 28. In the block number 28, I am talking about, let's say that SB201. And let's say that I'm talking about the first example. The first example is going to be, it will be good to write down EX1, that is example 1. And example 1 is for dependency injection. It is going for the dependency injection. Dependency injection. This is the one example that actually I'm going to create. Then thereafter, directly clicking on the finish, and after clicking on the finish, let it be loaded. Let the project be created. The project will be already listed at the top. So project is about to be created. The project is created now. The project is created now. Okay, so first of all, one project I have created. Now this is my pom.xml file. Into the pom.xml file, you can say that right now there is one dependency available, JUnit. I am not happy with. Apart from that, XML project tag is available. Snapshot is also okay. Do you know what is the meaning of this snapshot is? Anyone, everybody comfortable? What is the meaning of this snapshot is? The meaning of snapshot is this version is under development. Do not say this is first version. It is 0.0.1 dash snapshot. Dash snapshot means this version is under development. This version is not available for the production mode. Clear? This is not available for the production mode. Thereafter, site name you can provide, yet this is not compulsory. I am changing the version. The version I am changing is to version number 17. Dependency group JUnit artifact ID version. I am not happy with this dependency. I do not need actually the JUnit dependency this time. First, I have created a Maven project, and then I have to add a dependency. The dependency that I have to add is going to be Spring context dependency is what actually I have to add. Spring context dependency is what actually I have to add. So directly everyone, I'm going to the website. The name of the website is mvnrepository.com. And after going to mvnrepository.com, directly I'm searching for the Spring context. And after searching for the Spring context, you can say that the first link is available. Directly selecting the first link, Spring version 6 is what we are using. Copy this version, coming to the XML file and paste this. So everybody, can you add the dependency now? Yes or no? Yes, it is. That's good. That's good. That's good. So this is the dependency that you have to add. And definitely after adding the dependency, then you have to refresh the project. And to refresh the project, what you have to write down? You have to write down Alt plus F5. Make sense? You have to make Alt plus F5. Is that clear? So let me come to the project. After coming to the project, let me save this, pressing Alt plus F5. I wanted to update this project, clicking on the force update, then clicking on the OK. Then clicking on the OK. Okay. Thereafter, everyone, can you see that in the bottom, pom.xml is available and one more thing is available that is called dependency hierarchy. Able to locate this? In your STS, are you able to locate this dependency hierarchy? Just below pom.xml is available. When you will open pom.xml in your STS, then there is one thing available that is called the dependency hierarchy. In the dependency hierarchy, actually you will see one thing. I have added only one dependency. The name of the dependency is called Spring Context. But when I added Spring Context dependency, then you can say that Spring AOP, Spring Beans, Spring Core, and Spring Expression. These four dependencies are added automatically. Yes or no? When I added Spring Context, then these four dependencies are added automatically. So can we say that Maven is doing the job for us? Whenever there is dependency of dependency is there, so Maven is actually downloading automatically for you, and all the dependencies are actually available of the same version. One more point that you will notice is that Spring Core is actually used by three different dependencies, but how many time it is actually attached? It is actually attached only for the one time. So this is what actually beauty of the Maven is. You don't have to worry so much. Everything it will manage for you. So how to see the dependency tree? Is that clear? How to find out the dependency hierarchy? Is that clear? It will help you a lot many times when you are confused about the dependency, what is not added. So go for the dependency hierarchy and say this. Okay. Thereafter, everyone, test file is something that is of no use. So the very first part that I used to do is delete all the code from the test file. And now test package, I'm not going to discuss with you. Thereafter, coming to the SRC, there is one file available. The name of the file is app. Let it be as it is. Let it be as it is. Okay. Just one thing. Very basic example I'm going to take for you. Very basic example. In the very basic example, the very first thing I'm doing is, let's say that I'm creating a class. The name of the class that I'm writing is A. Into the A class, I am writing one method. The name of the method is called the public void fun method. And into the public void fun method, then I'm writing here system.out.println. And here I'm writing that inside fun method of class A. Is that clear? Just a simple method I have created. That's good. Into the app.java, right now everything is empty. Right now everything is empty. Okay. Anywhere has I created object of class A so far? Have I created any object of class A so far? Answer is 0. No, I have not created. We will not create. Let the Spring create the same for us. Let the Spring create the same for us. So first of all, I have created a class. So the name of the class that we have created is class A. And in this manner, I have added a class A here such that class A is containing only one method. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Fourth number part, we have to create a, actually you can say that configuration file in the SRC, and thereafter the SRC we are talking about, sorry, just a second. We have to go to the SRC. Within the SRC, I have to go to folder that is called the main. Within the main, I have to create one folder that is called the resources folder. Within the main, I have to create a folder. The name of the folder is going to be resources folder. Within this resources folder, I have to create a XML file. You can give any name. You can give any name. So the name of the file right now I'm writing is application.xml, or I'm writing here of any name within the src/main/resources. Okay, so first point, I'm into the resources folder, pressing Control and talking about creating a file, and name of the file, Control N, talking about creating a file. The file that actually I'm going to create is going to be application.xml file. So application.xml file is what I have created. Now please come back to the notes, and after coming back to the notes, you can see that there is one tag available that actually you have to copy as it is. That is the beans tag. One tag is there that actually you have to copy as it is. The name of the tag is actually called the beans tag. Copy it as it is. No need to apply any brain. No need to think about that how this tag is working, etc., etc. Nothing. No need to worry. One more thing that actually you can add is the XML tag. This is also what you can add into the file. Okay, so let me write down all Spring Bean related data, or you can say that data for all Spring Beans has to be written in the beans tag. So from this comment, what is the use of beans tag? Is that clear? Yes, it is. Okay. Then there is one more tag available. So to write data for every single bean. To write data for every single bean, we have to use bean tag separately. This time I'm talking about one more tag. The name of the tag is actually called the bean tag. So beans is going to be the parent tag or container tag. Within the beans tag, I have to use the bean tag. And if I'm talking about the bean tag, then into the bean tag, I will discuss to you about the two attributes. One of the attribute that I will discuss to you, or it will be good to write down that it has following, it has following attributes. Actually, a lot of attributes are there that I'm talking about some of the useful attributes. It has following some useful attribute will be good to write down. Do not think this is an exclusive list. This is an indicative list. If I'm talking about the attribute, then first attribute is available. The first attribute contains name of the bean. The second attribute is available. The second attribute is called class. It actually contains fully qualified class name. Is that okay, everybody? FQCN, fully qualified class name, of which bean is to be created. So there is one thing available that is called the bean tag. Into the bean tag, I am talking about the ID. Thereafter, I am talking about the class. Okay. So I wanted to create the bean with, let's say that the name small a. And if I'm talking about the fully qualified class name, then definitely the fully qualified class name is going to be complete package name dot class name. Is that clear? Complete package name dot class name. So bean ID equal to a, class equal to com dot masai school dot b28 dot this one. So okay, the configuration file is created. Okay, after creating the configuration file, okay, so far still, has I created object using new keyword? Has I created any object using new keyword? Answer is no. This time, actually, by writing everything into this XML file, this XML file is going to work as input for the Spring container. So actually, I have told Spring container that Mr. Spring container, I want you to create a bean. The name of the bean is going to be A, and the bean is going to be of the class com.masai-school.b28 something dependency injection.a. I am not doing anything. But what actually I am doing? I am actually outsourcing this job to the Spring container, and I have to guide the Spring container how to create the bean or to which class bean it has to create. For this thing, I am writing this XML. Yes or no? Is that clear? Now, the Spring container will scan the entire project, and after scanning the entire project, the first input available is this XML file, and second input is available, that is this class. So can I say when configuration data in the XML is available as well as class is available, then definitely Spring container is having the sufficient input and it can create the bean? Yes or no? Your Spring container is having configuration metadata, that is this XML file. And apart from this configuration metadata, it is having relevant classes also. When both the things are available, then definitely no problem. Your Spring container will be capable to create the object. Is that point okay? So can I say to the Spring container, first thing we are providing is the Pojo class, that is class A. And the second thing that we are providing is XML data, that is called configuration metadata. So to the Spring container, what actually we have to provide? We have to provide configuration metadata, plus we have to provide the Pojo classes. If the two things are available for us, then definitely Spring container can do the job. Is that clear? Spring container can do the job. That's good. So just actually you are supposed to take a look at a small diagram. You have to just take a look at this small diagram. Is that the same thing that I was talking to you? Is that the same thing that I was talking to you? Configuration metadata and Pojo classes I am providing to the Spring container. The Spring container is going to produce fully configured system that is ready to use. Is that okay? If everybody comfortable with this explanation, please write one on the chat. That's good. Shall we proceed? That's nice. That's nice. Okay. So project is created, class is created, bean configuration data is created. Now, sir, I have to start the container. Yes, you have to start the container. So let's say that we are going to start the container here. If I wanted to start the container, then can I say that if I am going to create object of class path XML application context, then automatically container will be instantiated? Yes or no? Because what is container? An interface. Container is a class that actually implements bean factory interface. And more specifically, we can say that a Spring container is a class that actually implements application context interface. So from this hierarchy, it is very easy to say that sir, class path XML application context is a class that implements application context interface. So if we are going to create object of this class, then automatically container will be instantiated. Yes or no? Automatically container will be instantiated. So I wanted to create object of this class. So I'm writing here new class path XML application context, and into the class path XML application context, I have to write down the name of the file, and the name of the file that we are writing is going to be application.xml file. Can I assign this to reference variable of application context? Can I assign the return value to the list to the reference variable of application context? Yes. Can I assign the same to the bean factory? Answer is yes. Can I assign the same to the configurable application context? Answer is yes. So see, short key, press Control with 2 and then press L. Control plus 2, then press LC. Control plus 2, then press L. Automatically it is assigned. Yes or no? This is feature of Eclipse. This is feature of STS. This is feature of STS. If I wanted to assign the same to the application context, then there is no problem. This is also going to work 100%. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, it is. Thereafter, everyone, I'm writing here, let's say that system.out.println. After the system.out.println, let's say that I'm writing a comment, and the comment is going to be that is container container started. Okay. People are demanding for the shortcuts, so I have written here as a comment. Okay, I have written the started. Using this context, everyone, can I call the getBeans method to get the object? Can I call the getBeans method to get the object? Yes or no? I'm calling the getBean method. And when I'm calling the getBean method, then see, I'm using the specific version where I'm specifying the name of the bean. that I have created in the ID. And apart from that, I am specifying the name of the class also. I am specifying the name of the class also. Again, same shortcut. Control T2 and then pressing L. Isn't it assigned automatically? Isn't it assigned automatically? Yes, it is. That's great. Thereafter, using this bean method. So first of all, step number one. Step number one is to instantiate the container. Instantiate the container. And if I'm talking about the step number two, then step number two is to get the bean from container. Step number two is to get the bean from container. Then let's say that call the fun method of the class A. If I wanted to call the fun method of the class A, then using this bean, can I call the fun method? Answer is yes, I can call the fun method. No problem. No problem. And let's say that I wanted to put a message. The message that I wanted to put is bye-bye. Then you can put this message also. Is that clear, everyone? Step by step. Shall we try to run this application? So right click, run as Java application. And after right click, run as Java application, you can see on the console, everything is working properly. Yes or no? Yes, it is. Okay, let me do one small job also. For example, let's say that into the class A, let's say that I am adding the container, I am adding a constructor, and into the constructor, I am writing that inside constructor of class A. Thereafter, again, I'm going to app.java and let me run this application again. Let me run this application again. This time, everyone, see, take a look at the output. And after looking at the output, please tell me. Take a look at the output. And just actually, it will be good to answer in the terms of true and false only, or yes or no only, or 1 on 0 only. 1 is for true, yes. 0 is for false. Can I say object of class A is created when actually the container is instantiated? Yes or no? Yes, it is. Yes, and that is the beauty of the container. Container says that actually whenever I will be instantiated, I will read the configuration metadata. And after reading the configuration metadata, I will immediately initialize all the beans. In future, when you are actually calling the get beans method, so at that time, actually, I am not accessing the bean. At this time, I'm not creating the bean. Actually, I'm giving the bean from the container directly to you. So can I say that initially when the container is loaded, it is creating the complete object graph. And once it is creating the complete object graph, then definitely accessing the bean will be very easy for you. Yes or no? And it will give you a performance optimization also. Clear? So this is one simplest example that actually we have taken. So into the main class, I have added the following code. And after adding the following code, then definitely output is available for us also. Output is available for us also. So 2 steps and 3 steps is there. Then definitely add following code to the main method. And once you have added the following code to the main method, then definitely no problem. Well, this was something I have to add here. And after adding this part, I have to add the following code into the public static void main. So I have to write down here that copy. And after writing copy here, then pasting this. And after pasting this part, then I'm writing here the next part, 5 numbers. Then finally, the output is available there. Okay, everyone. Step by step, all the explanation is provided to you. Any doubt in the first example? Those who are actually for the first time, they have to do practice. They have to do practice. It is actually working perfect in my hand. You just follow everything step by step. It will also work for you, and definitely practicing is required. So now with the first example, did you get the feel of what exactly the IOC container is and how exactly it is making your life very, very easy? How it is making your life very, very easy. In future, let's say that there is some other class B available, some other class C available, or even I wanted to change the properties of the object. Everything I can do from this file. No need to touch the Java code. No need to touch the Java code. Shall we take more examples? Yes, that's good. That's good. Keep the spread high, please. Keep the spread high, please. Okay. So next example, I think I forgot that I have to give a break to you. It's your break time. See you at 1:05. First example is what we have taken. Now actually, see, in this case, if I'm talking about the file a.java and class A, in the class A, it is very, very easy to observe that we have provided default constructor. In this case, actually, we have provided default constructor. But if I'm talking about a constructor that is having parameter, then what? If we wanted to populate the properties using setter, then what? So actually, everyone, one thing is that if I'm talking about the dependency injection concept, then actually you can say that in Spring, we have actually two injection points. We have two injection points that actually used to inject the dependency. That are used to inject the dependency. If I'm talking about the first point, then first point is called constructor. And when you are injecting dependency using the constructor, then this is referred as the constructor injection. Second thing is available that is actually called the setter injection. When actually you are injecting the property using the setter method. So constructor injection, in the constructor injection, actually you can say that properties are populated using the constructor, CONSTRU constructor. But in case of setter injection, the properties are populated using the setter methods. Properties are populated using the setter methods. These are the things actually that are available. If I'm talking about the constructor injection, then always keep in mind that for the constructor injection, we have to use one tag. The name of the tag is referred as the constructor-arg tag. The tag that is useful is referred as the constructor-arg tag. So constructor-arg tag is used to inject the dependency, is used to inject inject the dependency. And if I'm talking about attributes, so it has actually you can say that following important attributes. Among the attributes, one of the attribute is available that is called the value attribute, used to provide value for, you can say that primitive types, primitive types and string. And second is available that is called ref, and ref is actually used to provide, you can say that value for reference type. Reference type. Reference types means we will talk about specifically user defined objects. Specifically, we will talk about the user defined object. Name is also an attribute available, and the name attribute is used to, you can say that used to define the name of the property. But use of this attribute is not actually very much recommended. It is not very much recommended. So talking about the next part, see, shall I take one example of constructor injection? Everyone, shall I take one example of constructor injection? Yes, it is. Okay. So I'm going to take example of the constructor injection. And for taking the example of the constructor injection, let me actually copy this project. And this project is copied. Then I wanted to paste the same project. Is there any option available to make a copy directly? No. So I wanted to just actually doing the paste operation, copy, Control C, Control V. Project name, I'm going to do block 26, example 2. Thereafter, example number 2. The example number 2 is going to be for the constructor injection. Yeah, project is copied. Constructor injection. It actually saves our time from downloading the dependency, doing all that stuff. There is no need. So first, actually, I have done the constructor injection. After doing the constructor injection, this time, first of all, everybody, okay, I'm going to continue with the example that we did yesterday in the last class, yesterday's class, last example. The very first thing I'm doing is everybody, first of all, I'm talking about one interface. The name of the interface we are writing is vehicle interface. Into the vehicle interface, I'm talking about just one method. The name of the method is called the start ride method. Class A is of no use for me. class app, I'm actually making it an empty class. Class app, I'm making it an empty class right now. Then everybody, the first thing, it will be good to close. Lot of files are there, and it will be good to rename this package also. The name of the package that I'm creating is example2, and it is constructor constructor injection. Okay, package name is also what actually I have done. Okay, thereafter test package is of no use, so I'm not worried about this. So first interface I have created, the name of the interface is called vehicle interface. After the vehicle interface, I'm going to create one class. The name of the class is going to be the car class, and the car class actually implements the vehicle interface. So this code I have as it is copied and pasted, and definitely this method is going to be a public method. System s is required to be capital. One more class that I'm creating, the name of the class is going to be the bike class. And if I'm talking about the bike class, then in case of the bike class, you can see that again I'm doing the same stuff, just copy the code and paste the code. This method is required to be public, and apart from that, system s is required to be into the capital letter. S is required to be in the capital letter. Thereafter, I'm going to create one more class. The name of the class that I'm writing is the traveler class. So just actually pressing Control N, creating the class. The name of the class is going to be the traveler class, and into the traveler class we are creating the code as it is. Okay. Thereafter, everyone, one more thing that I'm defining, let's say, private integer. This is actually referred as number of passengers. Number of passengers is one more thing that I'm defining. Okay, so just take a look. Then I'm going to write down the bean configuration metadata. The very first thing that actually I did is everyone, one interface is available. The name of the interface is called vehicle interface. In the vehicle interface, there is just one public method available. The name of the method is called the start ride method. One class is available. The name of the class is car.java. The car.java is a class. The car is a class that actually implement the vehicle interface. There is one method available. The name of the method is ignite method. The ignite method is method of the class. It is not a method of the interface. But there is start ride method available that is inherited from the interface. So implementation is provided here. Same thing is for bike.java is available. And then a class is available. The name of the class is called the traveler class. In the traveler class, can I say that if I'm talking about the vehicle, then vehicle is going to be a reference type? Yes or no? If I'm talking about the vehicle, can I say that vehicle is going to be of reference type? Answer is yes. If I'm talking about the integer number of passenger, can I say that this is something that is actually going to be of the primitive type? Yes or no? This is something that is actually going to be of the primitive type. Okay. Thereafter, if I wanted to generate the constructor, so I'm going to generate two constructors in front of you. First of all, initially everybody, I'm generating the constructor from the superclass. And when I'm generating the constructor from the superclass, so just a default constructor is actually provided for us. When initially a default constructor is provided for us, so for example, let's say I'm writing that is inside default constructor of inside default constructor of class traveler. First case. Now I wanted to generate one more constructor, and to generate one more constructor, I am talking about generate constructor from the field. And to generate the constructor from the field, you can see that next point is also available here. The next point is also available here. So is that point clear, everyone? Two constructors are there. Finally, next step, actually not final. I'm talking about the next step. Just actually better to rename this package also. That's okay. B2012. Then everyone, I'm talking about the configuration class, and for the configuration metadata, then src main resource application dot xml. Into the application dot xml, then definitely this part is available. So I need to write down the data of the bean. To write down the data of the bean, this time bean id equal to, into the bean id, let's say that I wanted to create the first object, and the first object that I'm writing is, let's say, name is travel1, and this is going to be a fully qualified class name is what I have to mention. So copy this name into the application dot properties. I'm writing this name here dot. Then I have to mention the name of the class, and the name of the class is something again that I'm writing here. Then everyone system.out.println is what I'm writing, and here the pointer that I'm writing is going to be, that is inside parameterized constructor of class traveler. Inside parameterized constructor of class traveler is what actually I am writing. Okay. Initially, everyone, I am creating the bean. Initially, I'm creating the bean. This is my first bean going to be. Thereafter, I'm talking about creating the second bean. And when I'm going to create the second bean, then actually you can see that I have used a separate closing tag for the bean. And after using the separate tag for the bean, then I'm using one tag that is called the constructor-arg tag. Into the constructor arg tag, the very first thing that actually I have to insert is going to be object of vehicle, and the second is going to be number of passenger. So if I wanted to insert the object, then definitely I have to use ref. If I wanted to insert a value, then to insert a value, I have to use the value tag. So initially, everybody, let's say that if I'm talking about the number of passenger, I am writing 4. When number of passenger, I am writing 4. So can I say that I have to inject an object of car? When number of passengers are 4, then can I say that I have to inject an object of car? Okay. Similarly, everyone, if I'm talking about the next case, into the next case, if I am talking about travel is available, travel 1 is available, travel 2 is available, then I'm talking about the travel 3. Into the travel 3, again, fully qualified name is same. This time, let's say that number of passenger I am having only 1, or let's say that number of passenger I am having 2. When number of passenger I am having 2, then can I say that I have to better to inject the object of bike? Yes or no? Yes, it is. It is better to inject the object of bike. Okay. So first thing, can you say that I have to create an object of car that I wanted to inject? Create an object of car. Okay. So to create the object of car, then I have to create an object of bike. And how to create the object of car and bike? You will say, sir, this will be very easy. So bean ID, let's say that here I'm writing simple car, class name com.masai school.b21 constructor injection. Here I need to create object of car. Is that okay? Everyone, creating the object of car is clear. Similarly, creating the object of bike is clear. Yes, it is. So the same thing ID I am pasting here for the first case. The same thing ID I am pasting here for the second case. Is that clear? Is that clear? That's good. So configuration metadata I have created. So first of all, everyone, if I'm talking about this part, then definitely this will create object of, you can say that traveler with a default constructor. This will create object of traveler with the default constructor. And definitely this will create object of traveler with a parameterized constructor. Then everyone, again, this will create the object using parameterized constructor. Okay. Once again, see, just focus. What was our initial target? Initially, we were saying that's the last time in the previous example when we were talking about the class A. Then in the class A, what type of constructor we are having? We are having only default constructor. If we are creating the object using default constructor, then can I say all the instance variable and primitive values will be assigned with their default values? Yes or no? If one is, 1 second, let me drink some water. So repeating again. Last time, when we were creating the object of class A, object of class A was created using the default constructor. But let's say in the class A, I'm having the 3 different fields. One field of integer type, one of a string type, or let's say that one is of some other object type, let's say B. If I'm creating the object using default constructor, then definitely all the variables will be initialized with their default value. If we have not provided any default value, then definitely default value will be taken automatically according to the data type. What if we wanted to provide the value from our side? Question number 1. Can I say that when I'm using the Spring container, then we are not creating the object manually, but we are providing instruction to the Spring container using configuration metadata? Yes or no? We are providing instruction to the Spring container using the configuration metadata. Yes or no? Everyone, please respond. Hardly one or two scholars are responding. If you are not getting anything, please ask, but do not sit idle. So this is the first point, that actually this time we are using configuration metadata to create the object. So if let's say that I'm having parameterized constructor, then all the parameter value I have to write down in the configuration metadata. Make sense? Yes, it is. And how to write down the value for the parameters of the constructor? If you wanted to write down the value for the parameters of the constructor, then to do the same job, there is just very simple logic available. The simple logic is that everyone, there is one tag available. The name of the tag is called constructor arg tag. In the constructor arg tag, two attributes are important for you. The first attribute is called the value. The value attribute is useful when you wanted to inject the value. The value attribute is useful when you wanted to inject the value for the primitive type, or you wanted to inject the value for the string type. But let's say that if there is an object available, then to insert a dependency for the object, we have to use ref. Is that clear? We have to use ref. Similarly, everybody, if you wanted to write down the name of the property, also you can write down, but it is not recommended. You should always write down the constructor arg tag in the same order of your attribute. Is that clear? Is that point clear? Okay, so I'm talking about the constructor injection this time. Into the constructor injection this time, actually, you can see one thing. When I'm talking about bean, so first initially, I have created an object of car. Yes. Then I have created an object of bike. Yes. Then I have created an object of traveler. And while creating the object of traveler, I have not used parameterized constructor. So this will create the object simply. Yes or no? This will actually create the object simple using the default constructor. Make sense, everyone? Once actually object is created using the constructor, then the next thing that actually we have to take care is all about defining the parameter for the constructor. So I am creating the one object that is called the travel2. Into the travel2, you can see that I'm creating the object constructor arg. First thing I'm writing that reference car. So when I'm writing reference car, then can you say that I'm providing value for the object that is my first parameter of the constructor? Yes or no? I'm providing value for the vehicle interface, that is the first parameter of my constructor. Or simple, can I say that car object will be directly passed to first parameter of the constructor. The first parameter of the constructor is vehicle. Vehicle is an interface. A reference variable of interface can point to implementing class. According to this concept, can the reference variable of vehicle point to car class? Can the reference variable of vehicle point to object of car class? Yes or no? Yes, it is. So that first object will be passed to the first parameter. The second thing I am passing 5. 5 is a primitive value. So definitely that primitive value will be provided to the second parameter. Make sense, everyone? How this is working? Yes, it is. Similarly, when the third object is going to be created, then for the third object, bike. Bike object will be directly provided to the traveler. And thereafter, if I'm talking about the number of passengers, then definitely number of passengers will be 2. Is that okay? Yes, it is. That's good. Finally, actually, everyone, two things are done. Now I'm going to my app.java file. Into the app.java file, the very first job is again to start the container. Yes or no? The very first job is again to start the container. And to start the container, again, we have to create an object of class path XML application context. Let me check the dependencies. I think pom.xml. Into the pom.xml, I have dependency is also here. So that dependency is, I think, not reflected so far. Yeah, let me refresh this project, Alt F5. Now dependencies are added. So now actually I'm going to the file that is app.java. Into the app.java, I'm writing new class path XML application context. And here I'm writing name of the file. The name of the file is going to be application.properties. Oh, sorry, application.xml file. The name of the file is application.xml file. Perfect. And same logic. I wanted to assign it into the variable control 2, then L. Control 2, then L is what actually I am writing. Thereafter, context is available there. And using this context, can I get the bean? Answer is yes. So for example, let's say everyone I am writing context.getBean. Normally I used to go with this type. So name of the first bean that actually I'm writing is, let's say this is travel1. And this actually belong to the class. The name of the class is going to be, that is traveler.class. Okay. So this is the first bean that actually we are taking. And let's say that I'm giving the same name travel1. Similarly, everybody, can we get the second bean also? Yes, we can get the second bean also. The name of the second bean is going to be travel2. Similarly, can we get the third bean also? Yes, we can get the third bean also. To get the third bean also, we are writing here, that is travel3. All the three beans we are actually taking. After taking all the three beans, okay. So first, everybody, I'm writing system.out.println. When I'm writing system.out.println for the travel1, so can I say that the value of travel1 dot vehicle is going to be null? Yes or no? The value of travel1 dot vehicle is going to be null. Makes sense? It's a private variable, but just actually for the sake of, you can say that just for the confirmation of output, I'm actually changing the visibility. So travel1 dot vehicle, the value is going to be 0. Thereafter, if I'm writing about the travel1 dot number of passengers, then definitely the value of travel1 dot number of passengers is going to be 0. Make sense? Can we say this time this value is going to be 0? Let me comment this, and once actually let me try to run this example. Alt Shift X J is what I am writing. Inside default constructor of traveler, actually forget these two outputs. There is a logic, but forget these two outputs. Can I say that the value of travel1 dot vehicle is null and the value of travel1 dot number of passenger is 0? Make sense? So can I say default constructor is called? Yes or no? And the instance variables are automatically initialized with their primitive value. Make sense? Okay. Thereafter, everyone, let's say that I'm talking about the next object. And while talking about the next object, this time I'm talking about the travel2. So while talking about the travel2, I'm writing travel2 dot vehicle. Thereafter, again, I'm writing here travel2 dot number of passenger. For the travel2 dot vehicle, I'm providing the object of car. I'm providing the object of car. No toString method is there. If toString method is not there, then automatically default implementation will play its role. Answer is yes. So let's see that what will be the output. So please take a look at the output. Into this output, can you see that class name car is available? And thereafter, hash code available into the hexadecimal format? Yes or no? Default implementation of toString method, remember? J111. Yes, it is. So first of all, in case of travel2, is that verified that object of car is getting injected? Is that verified that object of car is getting injected? Answer is yes. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. Then everyone, if I'm talking about the next part, then let's say that I'm talking about the third case also. Into the third case, this is the third object available. And when the third object is available, then in this condition, yeah, travel3 is what exactly I'm writing. And when I'm writing the travel3, then in case of the travel3, so travel3 dot vehicle, travel3 dot vehicle, and again travel3 dot vehicle. There is some minor mistake I did here. Okay, please take a look. Please take a look. This time an object of bike is here. Yes or no? This time an object of bike is here. Number of passenger is 5. Number of passenger 2. So all the data is injected properly. Yes or no? So constructor arg tag is clear. Please take a look. Concept of constructor injection is clear for all. Okay. Those who are having any type of doubt, they can ask. Those who are having any type of doubt, they can ask. Okay. So constructor injection is something that actually we have done. So among the injection points, initially I was talking to you about the first case. The first case is referred as the constructor injection. Here container will call the parameters constructor defined in our class to inject the dependency of the dependent. For this, we have to use constructor arg tag inside the bean tag. Each dependency will take a separate constructor arg tag. Then everyone, example is available, almost same it is. Injecting the dependencies is already told to you. You can access name, but this practice is not very recommended in the modern version of Spring. This practice is not very recommended in the modern version of Spring because parameter name is not supposed to be exposed outside the class. That's why. If we define the parameterized constructor Spring Bean, then passing value through constructor injection is there. Okay, now there is one special case that actually we have to take care. There is one special case that actually we have to take care whenever we are talking about the constructor injection. That case is actually referred as the circular dependency. That case is actually referred as the circular dependency. So let me give you the next example. And for the next example, nothing special. I'm just copy this code. Then after I'm pasting this code. And while pasting this code, I'm writing SB101 example number 3. And into the example number 3, this is going to be circular dependency. Copy. Thereafter clicking on the copy. After clicking on the copy, src, then main is there. Thereafter Java is there. F2 is there. Then we are talking about example number 3, and this is going to be circular dependency is the name of the package that actually I am changing. Okay, then continue. Okay, thereafter. Okay, just there is, see, first pointer. There is one class available. The name of the class is called class A. One class is available. The name of the class is called class A. I'm creating one more class. The name of the class I'm writing is class B. Just one by one. In this package, one class is available. The name of the class is called class A. One more class is available. The name of the class is called class B. And here I'm writing one thing. This is going to be private A space private B space B1 or private B space B. So can I say this time by looking at this code? If I'm talking about the dependent class, then definitely dependent class is going to be class A. And if I'm talking about the dependency class, then can I see that dependency class is going to be class B? Yes or no? Dependent class is class A and dependency class is class B. Yes, it is. Then if I'm talking about the class B, in the class B, for example, let's say we are writing this part. When we are writing this part, then everyone. This time, can I say that the dependent class is going to be class B and the dependency class is going to be class A? Make sense? Yes, it is. Okay. Then I'm talking about the parameterized constructor. Let's say that if I'm talking about the parameterized constructor of this class, so I'm generating the constructor from the field using the class B. I'm generating the constructor perfect. Similarly, I am generating the constructor here also. And when I'm generating the constructor here also using the field, so constructor is generated here also. Okay. Class A is depending on class B and there is single parameterized constructor available. Class B is depending on class A and there is single parameterized constructor available here. Single parameterized constructor is available here. Now listen one point very carefully. I wanted to write down the configuration metadata for them. So if I wanted to write down the configuration metadata for them, then definitely the very first thing that actually I have to do is I have to create the object and I have to create the dependency. So see, I'm going to resources. Into the resources, I'm available in the application. While I'm available into the application, first I'm writing here bean id equal to a. And while writing bean id equal to a, I'm writing com.masai school block 28 dependency dot a. This is one thing that actually I'm doing. This is the closing of the bean tag. And after writing closing of the bean tag, definitely everyone, we have to use the concept of constructor dash arg. Into the constructor dash arg ref, I have to mention some value. Then similarly, if I'm talking about the object of class B, then for the object of the class B, I'm doing the same job, constructor arg reference. So this time everybody, please take a look the configuration metadata. While creating the bean of class A, I am injecting object of class B as the dependency. And while creating the object of class B, I am injecting the object of class A as a dependency. Is that point okay? Clear? That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. Now coming to the file that is app.java. Into the app.java, I am just actually initializing the container and nothing else I am doing. Just initializing the container, nothing else. Now let me run this application, Alt Shift XJ. Can you see some red color is there? Yes, it is. So you can see that it is actually showing that exception encountered during context initialization, canceling refresh attempt. Exception in thread main spring org.spring-framework.beans.factory.bean creation exception. It is saying that error creating bean with name A defined in class path resource cannot resolve the bean B while setting constructor argument. While setting constructor argument. Thereafter, everyone, you can see that it shows bean creation exception, and inside there is actually main exception available. The exception is that bean currently in creation exception. So what is going on? First point, when it try to create the object of class A, if it try to create the object of class A, then definitely to create the object of class A, it is going to create the object of class B first. Yes or no? To create the object of class A, it is going to create object of class B first. Make sense? Yes, it is. When it is going to create the object of class B, then it will call the constructor and it will try to create the object of class A. So don't you think that it is turning into circular dependency situation? To create the object of class A, I need object of class B. To create the object of class B, I need object of class A. So actually no object is practically able to complete itself. That's why Spring Container find that this is the case of circular dependency. And in case of the circular dependency, ultimately we will end up with the exception that is called bean currently in creation exception. Bean currently in creation exception. You may answer bean creation exception also. You may bean creation exception is a better choice. This is what actually you have to answer. So whenever there is a case of the circular dependency, in case of the circular dependency, constructor injection is not a good choice. Is that point clear? Constructor injection is not a good choice whenever we are talking about bean creation. This point is okay? Yes or no? That's good. So always keep in mind whenever you are finding cases of the circular dependency, then in case of the circular dependency, we always have to go by the next type of injection. And the next type of injection is referred as the setter injection. The next type of injection is actually referred as the setter injection. So this is the only case when constructor injection is actually getting failed. Otherwise, constructor injection is the optimal choice almost in all the cases. But whenever there are cases of the, you can say that circular dependency, then please do not go by the constructor injection. In this condition, you should always go by the setter injection. Clear? Yes, it is. So it is going to be a setter injection. Thereafter, app.java application.xml is there, app.java is there. Let it be as it is. Okay. Few more things I wanted to discuss with you with reference to the previous example. Into the previous example, everyone, let's say that I am adding a default constructor to the car class. Let's say I am adding a default constructor to the car class. When I am adding the default constructor to the car class, then actually here I am writing one simple thing, system.out.println. So I am writing here inside constructor inside constructor of car. Similarly, I wanted to add the constructor to the bike class also. And when I'm creating the constructor to the bike class, so I'm writing inside constructor of bike. Inside constructor of car, inside constructor of bike is something that actually we are writing. Thereafter, there is one more file available, app.java. Let me run this file again. So right click, run as Java application. Please check what is the order of constructor calling. Can you see initially constructor of class car is called, then constructor of class bike is called, then constructor of class traveler is called. Because in case of configuration metadata, there is nothing special. The configuration data will be read by the Spring container from top to bottom. Because it is read by top to bottom, so there is no problem. It will be accessed properly. This is just actually one thing that I wanted to convey you. More discussion we will take when we will talk about the auto wiring. So constructor injection is done. Now I'm going to discuss to you about the next type of injection, and the next type of injection is actually referred as the setter injection. So I'm writing that regarding the constructor injection. So I'm writing that this approach of injection is mostly suitable and definitely recommended also. But this approach actually doesn't, this approach actually doesn't work in case of CIRCU circular dependency. In case of circular dependency, this will not work. Also, if you have some optional dependency in your code that you do not or that you want to add later as per the demand, then actually you have to go to next concept, or then you have to use concept of setter injection. You have to use the concept of setter injection. So I'm going to discuss the next type of injection to you. The next type of injection is actually referred as the setter injection. So how exactly the setter injection is working? Here actually container will call the setter method of the class to inject the properties. The tag that we have to use is the property tag. So let me write down the some pointer. So first point is that properties are actually populated using setter method. If I'm talking about the tag, then definitely the tag that we have to use is going to be the property tag. Property tag is used to inject the dependency, and it is having following important attribute. If I'm talking about the following important attribute, then definitely one of the attribute is going to be ref, that is used to inject the dependency. One more attribute is available, that is called name. Name is what you have to specify compulsorily. Name is something that actually you have to specify compulsorily. Other attribute is going to be definitely value, that is used to inject the same thing. So it will be good to take the same example I'm going to modify for you. In case of the setter injection, let me copy this, Control C, Control V. So fourth example, this will be, and I'm talking about, this is going to be a setter injection. Thereafter, clicking on the copy. So setter injection, SRC, let me change the name of the package. And name of the package is, this time we are talking about the setter injection. This is going to be my example number 4, then clicking on finish and okay. Yeah. One by one, if I'm talking about the interface vehicle is as it is, no change. Interface vehicle is as it is, no change. If I'm talking about class car is again as it is, no change. Class bike, again it is as it is, no change. Then if I'm talking about class traveler, into the class traveler, this time I do not want it to go with the constructor injection. This time I wanted to create the setter getter method. So to create the setter getter method, I am just actually directly creating the getter setter method from here. I'm just actually creating the getter setter method from here. So this is one more thing that actually we have created. Vehicle, number of passengers, traveler, get vehicle, number of passengers. Thereafter, we are talking about vehicle, number of passengers, right? Anything is available there. Now going to app.java. Into the app.java, almost I'm making no changes. Into the app.java, almost I'm making no changes. Directly, I'm going to configuration metadata. And if I'm talking about the configuration metadata, then in case of the configuration metadata, I'm creating the object of car, yes. I'm creating the object of bike, yes. This will create the object of traveler using, you can say that setter methods. So travel to, enter the travel to com.masai school block 21 SB201 example 2, and this time I have to change the name of the package also. So definitely the name of the package here is going to be setter injection, setter injection, setter injection, setter injection, again setter injection. Just actually one change that actually I have to do is, I'm not supposed to use the constructor arg tag. This time I have to use the property tag. Into the property tag, the first thing I have to mention is going to be the name, and the next thing I have to mention is going to be reference. So if I'm talking about the name of the property, the name of the property is vehicle. Mention here. Mention here. Then everyone, next thing I'm writing is going to be, let's say again, I'm talking about the name, and the name is going to be vehicle again. Okay. Last time I was talking about the reference car. This time I'm talking about the reference file. Then again, I'm talking about the name. Here, actually, the name is going to be number of passengers. Then here again, I'm writing this is going to be number of passengers. No constructor injection. I have to use the property tag. That's all. I just have to use the property tag. That's all. Nothing special is what actually I have to do. So coming to app.java, see, once everyone giving you time, please take a look at the configuration metadata. Please take a look at the configuration metadata. Take a look at the property tag, take a look at the name attribute, take a look at the value attribute, ref attribute. Please check. We proceed. If it is okay, everyone, shall I proceed? Coming to app.java. After coming to app.java, let me press Alt Shift X J. When I'm pressing Alt Shift X J, then can you see that all the three objects are created using the default constructor? Can you see that all the three objects are created using default constructor? Answer is yes. And the thing is that everybody, all the objects are getting injected properly. Like if I'm talking about this case, then here it is written as car. Here it is written as bike. Yes or no? Shall I proceed further, everyone? How to overcome the problem of circular dependency using setter injection? Yes, it is. So let me copy paste this project. And after pasting this project, then I'm talking about example number 5 it will be. So I'm writing circular dependency solution. B28. So SB201 example 5 circular dependency solution is there. Click on the copy. Then I'm talking about the copy. So let me actually close the remaining parts. First of all, everyone, I'm talking about the class A. First of all, I'm talking about the class A, and here I'm writing that is inside parameterized constructor of class A. Clear? Everyone, is that clear? Inside parameterized constructor of class A. Yes, it is. This dot b equal to b, then actually I'm talking about the next part. And while I'm talking about the next part, this time I'm actually defining just a default constructor. And while defining the default constructor, I'm writing here that is inside default constructor of class B. Then actually I'm generating the setter method also here. So while generating the setter method here, I'm clicking here, select for setter only, and thereafter I'm clicking on generate. Getter method is not important for me. And here I'm writing one more message, system.out.println. Here we are writing that is inside setter method of class B. Inside setter method of class B. Okay, this is something that I have done. So this time, can you see that actually I have created an object of class A, such that to create the object of class A, the parameterized constructor will be called? Yes or no? Shall I execute this code? Everyone, one thing that you should keep into mind, whenever you copy a project, then Maven dependencies are not copied by default. Actually, in the pom.xml, there will be no change, but by default, it will actually not download the dependency. You have to update your project by pressing Alt with F5, and then you can force update. Now you can see that Maven dependencies are available here. Then going to application.xml file. And while going to the application.xml file, bean XML namespace, thereafter HTTP springframework.org scheme beans, and all that is written. Okay, I wanted to create object of class A. I wanted to create object of class A. To create the object of class A, I need object of class B. Yes or no? So I'm not going to make any changes here. Make sense? Make sense? I am not going to make any changes here. Make sense, everyone? Constructor reference equal to B is something I have to write down to create the object of class A. Yes or no? To create the object of class A, I have to use constructor reference and I have to provide object of class B. Make sense? Yes, it is. This package name is something I have to actually rename. Circular dependency underscore solution is something that I have to write down. Continue. Copy. Then copy. Then I'm writing here com.masaischool.circulardependency.a. And while creating the object of class B, then to create the object of class B, this time here actually I have to use the tag that is called the property tag. Into the property tag, I am writing name. Name is going to be A. Thereafter, I have to use ref. Into the ref also I am mentioning A. Is that okay? Yes, it is. So one side there is constructor injection, one side there is header injection. Going to the file that is app.java, and into the file app.java, nothing special I am doing. Just actually I am calling Alt Shift XJ. Oh my God. It shows that bean in creation exception. So exception in thread bean creation exception. Currently creating the bean with name A defined in the class path. Cannot resolve B while setting the argument. Just a minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. Possibly I did one mistake. This time working. Actually, object will be created in the order of configuration metadata. So last time I made a mistake. The mistake I did is that really I was trying to create the object of class A first. That's why it was not visible. So right now, everyone, can you see that default constructor of class B is called? Yes or no? Then actually, while creating the object of class A, object of class B is already available. Clear? Object of class B is already available. Okay. Then actually the setter method of class B is called. So whenever there is case of circular dependency, then in the case of the circular dependency, always keep in mind that actually you have to use setter method on the one side. Is that point okay? So see how exactly the flow will be. If I'm talking about how exactly the flow is going to work in this condition. So let me write down a simple case here. Let me write down a simple case here. So initially stack is there. After the stack, then heap is there. If I'm talking about the stack, then into the stack, one thing is available that is here. Into the heap, the point that actually I'm going to write down initially. See, when I'm creating the object of class A, when I'm creating the object of class A, then in the object of class A, I'm having one reference variable of class B. Yes or no? I'm having one object of class B. Yes, it is. Same thing is going to be repeated here. The B is actually the reference variable of class B. Same logic is going to be repeated here also. Initially, first we are creating object of class B. Initially, we are creating object of class B. And if I'm talking about the object of class B, then the object of class B contain the reference of class A. When this object is created using the default constructor, then initially can I say that it will have the value null? First time when the object of class B is created using the default constructor, then can I say that the reference variable of class A will be initialized with null? Yes or no? This is the first stage. This is the first stage, that is object created using class B. Is that clear? Object created using constructor, sorry. Object created using default constructor. Good. When actually, and definitely, if I'm talking about the object, then the object is containing hash code. Let's say this is the hash code available. So can I say this hash code will be copied here? Can I say this hash code will be copied here? Yes or no, everyone? Now when the object of class A is going to be created, so at the time of creating the object of class A, then definitely that B is already constructed. So that B is going to enjoy the same value. That B is going to enjoy the same value. And if I'm talking about the part, then definitely the part is going to be that one. So this is object created using the parameterized constructor. Is that clear? This object is created using the parameterized constructor. Finally, everyone, setter method will be called, okay, simple logic. Setter method will be called before constructor or after constructor? Setter method will be called before constructor or after constructor? Option 1 or option 2? Definitely option 2. How you can call a method before calling constructor? Constructor calling is part of object creation. Yes. Whenever object is created, then constructor is called. Yes. Whenever I wanted to call a method, then I need object. Yes. So definitely, first of all, I have to create object. Yes. So can I say before calling the setter method, actually object need to be created? So according to this principle, first your constructor will be called, then your setter method will be called in future. Yes or no? Yes, it is. So nothing special. Actually the IOC container, or you can say that Spring container, it will initially create the object of class B with null value. Later on, when this object is created, then definitely this object value will be inserted. This object value will be inserted, no problem in that. So the value that is going to be copied here that value will be copied here after calling the setter method. This diagram is clear? Is that diagram clear, everyone? Yes, it is. So from this diagram, things will be better clear to you. So this is actually, you can say that phase number 1. This is going to be your phase number 2. And this is going to be the phase number 3. Clear? Yes. So I think that's all for the day. So please go to the LMS platform and fill the feedback form. These examples will be shared to you. Assignments are also available for you. Please make sure to do the assignments.